Into J, we break through. Into J, we break through. Into J, we break through. I know it's lonely at the top, but that's not by speculation. But the position that I got, I climb too high to fall, way too hard to drop. Stop clocks on the speed bag. Every out under pressure, no jet lag. This is greater than trophies and saluted flags. Titles and fame across the day. I give it the cross to man. There was a dealer. Baby, the hand was delayed. New level, next stage. Learn to lead as a legend. Now tell me what's my next stage. I said the chance now by speculation. But the position that I got at the blood too high to fall is so near. Stop clocks on the speed bag. Every doubt under pressure, no jet lag. This is greater than trophies and saluted flags. Titles and fame across the day. I give it the cross to make breakthrough. Into J, we break through. Into J, we break through. Into J, we break through.
God. Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. I'll let everybody get in. I'm not going anywhere, so I'm not moving. God. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything in the 30 seconds I took to set this up real quick. How's everybody doing? How everybody doing? Console me? Listen. I tried to tell y'all. Like, legitimately, this was always going to be the outcome. Anybody doing okay? I guess that's a good place to start. Where's this evening on the bummer scale? If you had it properly rated, not that high. Like, the bummer scale was a year ago, to be honest. The real bummers, like the real bummers were like over the last couple years. This is just like everything. I think that's part of this is like, I'm going to sound like a bit of a jerk. This is like a realization for some people to how bad things have actually been. Like, it's all of a sudden, like, it's becoming, like, this is a lot of stuff that guys like Sprague and I have been talking about. Hyken, Gunderson, Richmond have been talking about for years, like literal years. So, like, they could run this back, like, in the sense of, like, entirely the same group and everything. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit. The more surprising thing would be them, like, actually doing something insane. Like, finding a way to trade C.J. McCollum. That's the, like, the wild thing. Oh, I got phone calls, so I gotta put them on reject for a split second. I'll call them back. You guys know him, so if you're watching, you know where I'm at. It's oh my God, my phone is going nuts. What is happening? That's not promising. All right, everybody's just kind of piling in. I did not think we were going to have that many in here that quick. Good God. Let's hit the Zeller stuff right away, because I think people are taking that part of it out. As far as, like, I said Cody because, yeah, no shit, Cody. Cody was number 2 on Neil's board in 2013. Like, draw all the lines you want about Neil doing this or doing that. If he has you rated highly at any point in time in your career, he's going to circle back to you. Like, Cody does some things well. Like, he's probably one of the best screen setters in the entire NBA. He moves relatively well for like a legit 7-footer. Like, that's a real thing. Like, he's a big, strong dude. There's no doubt about that. But there are definite limitations offensively. Like, he's going to clean up around the rim. You're not running anything through him. He's a non-shooter. He's got a decent basketball IQ, but you're not like running the offense through him. It's not like you don't have like Yusuf Nurkic light out there as far as like playmaking in situations like that. That's not what you're just getting a plug and play dude who kind of finishes around the rim, rolls pretty hard, has real size, screen. You can get involved in a screen and roll game, and finishes around the rim. Like that's it. Like if you just divorce everything else, if he's a 1-year vet minimum signing, it's fine. It's entirely fine. Like, it is entirely fine. But if it turns out like he's the DPMLE and they just took a piece of it and gave it to him, they're going to piece it, then, whoa, God. That's a problem. Wow, everybody's rolling in quickly. I can tell everybody's just thrilled. James, Alex, Jeremiah, Andrew, Sage. I almost say Guillermo, but Guillermo? I'm going to go with Guillermo. Dawson, Mark, Chris, Scott. There's a lot of people. Casey, Lord, Hunter, Shane. Yeah, listen, as a backup blazer, as a backup big, he's fine. Like, we need to divorce these things. Like, the whole idea with, like, Greg Brown, like that, I saw some people getting really mad when I was like, hey, it's not a bad thing. It's okay. Cool. But when you're looking at it individually, the levels are fine. Quick said Zeller's a 1-year min or has to be. I don't know if it has to be. I mean, how many of you guys had Derrick Jones Jr. getting the MLE last year? Because I sure as hell didn't. I like Derrick. Like, I like him as a dude. When I found out that he got the MLE, I was blown away. I thought he would get half that. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Whitty, Pelicans playing for Norm. That's the latest I've heard. That's the latest that I have heard, is that the Pelicans are the strongest competition for Norm right now. So it went quiet on that front about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. So we'll see. I would assume at this point in time that the Fournier contract probably added a couple $1 million to Norm's deal. Because, I mean, I think on the whole, Norm is a more valuable player than Fournier overall. Fournier has a little more shot creation. But I think Norm's defensive ability is a little bit more sought after. Alex Kinney says Raptors are trying to trade for Lillard right now. Listen, everybody's trying to trade for Dame right now. The Raptors package I don't like. Like, I don't want Siakam. I like, he's 27. OG's nice, but he's not a centerpiece. He's your third, fourth guy. I want a no BS 1 or 2 guy. When we're talking about trading Damian Lillard, what's going on, David? James Donaldson says Mason Plumlee Redux. He's white, but they're very, very different players. Like Plum Dog, like he had shortcomings and like actual short arms, like raptor arms, which is kind of funny because Zeller has short arms too. I think he's one of the only 7-footers out there that was like I think he had a sub 8'10" standing reach, where all the other like true 7-footers are like 9'1", 9'2", 9'4", like in that range. I always find that funny. But he's a non-playmaker. Plum Dog can pass. Like you can get him in the short roll and he can do some things. Zeller's not effective in that regard. If you haven't already, it's I think the video's like 12, 15 minutes. But I'll give you the key here. He's the very first one on the video for a reason. If you go to the 5 free agent bigs video here on the channel, It's there. It'll give you a quick little rundown of Zeller. I'm not deep diving into it, but it's mostly surface level stuff. As for in a little bit of what he has done and what he's capable of and what he's done in his career, kind of a deal. If the Raptors won a Dames, they should have drafted Suggs and Barnes. Yeah, I mean, like this. I definitely don't like Toronto as a landing spot for Dame, but that's just me. Jake, just no more NSD is a win. Yeah, listen, Ennis is like a perfectly fine and capable regular season big. The problem here is, and this is where I do actually look at Neil Olshey and go, yeah, no, that makes a little bit of sense. Like, he has to walk a little bit of a line in that, oh, look at this Dampe. What's up, buddy? He's got to walk a little bit of a line when it comes to assigning a big, because you've got to worry about Yusuf Nurkic getting injured. And in that regard, Ennis is a good regular season big because you can put him out there and be like, hey, dog, go eat. Like, 82 games, there's no game plans. Come playoff time, that whole plan changes. It goes out the window. They're going to attack endlessly. And that's one of the things about Zeller. He's smart enough and moves well enough. Like, he's not just food the entire time like Ennis is. But the flip side is, like, you're not getting the rebound, the putbacks, the offensive value or production that Cantor can give, although he got cooked against Denver. But yeah, that's kind of the difference. Already ordered my Zeller jersey. Is Alex Caruso better than DJJ? Yeah, I mostly because shot creation and point of attack defense are some of the most valuable things in the entire NBA, and Caruso can create his own shot, knock down threes, and is one of the better or best point guard defenders in the NBA, not named Drew Holiday right now. He's a dog. Like, he's a legit dog. Is there going to be any positive news this offseason? I mean, what do you view as positive? I think that's a bit of a Rorschach test. Like what's positive for you? Getting away from the current regime, or is it going a different way? Like, I don't know. That's the thing. I want Holmes or Markkanen from Mason. Listen, man, Holmes is gonna get, like, I don't know. They're gonna have to work some kind of sign and trade, or somebody's gonna get an MLE and get lucky. I haven't had a chance to sit down and take a look and see who's got what money available, so it's kind of hard to tell. But Markkanen, I would imagine he gets worked in a sign and trade. Last I heard, he was being shopped at the deadline last year, and I know a couple teams called about him and Wendell. I would not be surprised if the Spurs end up being there. That's obviously been reported, but they made calls around him at the deadline. So maybe that does happen. I do like him. I think it's good. What's going on, Cody? WAG Productions. Man, I've seen a bunch of familiar names and a bunch of new names. This is cool. Can we get Winslow and DeRozan? DeRozan? Hell no. No, they don't. They have no money for that. They can get Winslow on the cheap, but again, you're getting another kind of flawed player. Only positive news is going to be Dame winning a gold medal. That's not guaranteed. So, Devontae is going to be worked in the sign and trade, says Shams. Okay. That's that makes sense. Oh, wait, what? A first round pick is also going to Charlotte. Huh. I guess that makes a little bit more sense. But I guess they broke those up into two different deals. Okay. We'll take that. Pels just grab Graham. This squeezes Norm's market. Yeah, I think so. I think it does a little bit. I need to see the numbers. Shams' tweet says New Orleans lands a sharpshooting guard in Graham to place around Zion and BI. I don't think that probably eliminates them from the Dinwiddie stuff. Just trying to do the number in my head of what Devontae probably got, because I think the Pels came in with like 36, because they had to work the Garrett Temple in there, the Satoransky. I'm trying to do a lot of numbers in my head, and now I just... kind of hard to tell. Announced TJ Leaf for Amino and Harkless. You can't do a Harkless. He signed a deal. He signed with the Kings, man. Vonleh and Childs. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time believing. 4-year, 47 for Graham. So he's going to be average value 11.5. 12? No, yeah, 11.6. Which that's good 6-man money. Little above that MLE. That's good. But that leaves, I think that leaves the Pels with enough room still. And for everybody who's sitting here worried about the hard cap here for the Pelicans doing a sign-and trade, it depends on the order of operations. They'll still have to be under the apron, but if they work this right, I think they still have room for Norm. I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. So normally has nowhere else to go. The Spurs still have money, and the Pelicans still have money, I believe. I have to double check, but yeah. Now we need Kevin Love. Listen, Love did not do himself any favors with the Team USA stuff. I said it, end of June, I think, that I would be shocked if Kevin Love started the season with the Cavs. Like, they like him as a dude, but there have been too many issues. I firmly believe they'll find a way to buy it, to get bought out. But his buyout line right now is quite literally would be the highest buyout in NBA history. So there's a big old chunk of money on that list. Is Zeller half decent at D? All I know is he can finish. He's a decent rim protector. You tell you what, guys, I'll pull up the live. Give me 2 seconds while I do this. I'll pull up some live data. Player profile. Ba, ba, ba. I was actually hoping to not do this today, but let's see. What's funny is I actually had a split second there. I almost typed in Tyler Zeller because, there's more than one of them. Freaking Zellers and Plumleys, man. It's ridiculous. And see, the funny thing is, you're coming in and you say my thoughts on Cobb going back to the Green Bay Packers. You're hitting a soft spot for me because I've known Aaron for a very long time. So anything that makes Aaron Rodgers happy, I'm in all for. Not only that, Randall Cobb has amazing eyes. Seriously, just go look at it. It's incredible to look at. All right. So, perimeter shooting grade for Cody Zeller per B-Ball Index is an F. Shocking. Finishing grade is a B+. Unassisted rim field goal attempts, he's at 92 percentile. 92%. That's good. That's real good. So he finishes really well around the rim, and he does so without needing somebody to hand it to him. Off-ball movement, he is relatively decent as far as how aggressively he attacks on the roll and how well he finishes, but his screen rate is subpar as far as actually I should say breakdown between pick and pop and roll because he can't pop. Post play grade, he's got I believe a B, which a lot of it has to do with very limited usage. But he does get a fair amount of touches through DHOs at the elbows. Not necessarily creation. Think creation with him with the same way the Blazers do it with Enes Kanter, except for a little bit better hands. Good news, I got my Trailblazing Deadstock shirt today. Love to see it. Defensive rebounding grade got a B+. Offensive rebounding A-. So covers up some rebounding issues. Rim deterrence, he grades out okay as far as overall grade, but where he shines is that he contests basically half of the shots that are taken when he's on the floor. Half of the rim shots, I should say, and he contests 81% of those. So in that vein, pretty good. He does finish well as a roll man. Defensively, he grades out okay across all of the box score metrics, but it's kind of how it goes. So that's your rundown on Cody Zeller. I had to think about which Zeller it was again. Good Lord. Unbelievable. Colangelo took a nightstick to K-Love stock. Yeah, it wasn't great. He definitely didn't hold back. That is for sure. Harrison, Liam, Enrique, appreciate everybody coming through. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? If the Blazers do have their TPMLE, I'm not sure that they do still. I want to believe that this is a vet min. I genuinely want to believe that. Otto Porter Jr. is out there to save the day. I don't think that's likely. But how do you feel about the Collins $22 million contract with the Spurs? I made 3 phone calls after that one came out, and every single one was woo. So, Hollinger did tag him as a minimum. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ty. I have TweetDeck up, and it's a lot. So, Steve DeWald is sitting here really dumping on Zeller right now. The Hornets defense gave up more points per possession, 114, 41st percentile, allowed more opponents to register an effective field goal percentage of 57.6%, which is a 9th percentile. I don't know how much of that is Zeller and how much of that is a bunch of dudes on that team who didn't really want to play defense, give or take. They were a fun team to watch, but they weren't really consistent on that end. That's for sure. But the Collins thing, that's where I was going with this. I don't have any idea what the Spurs are doing right now, other than very, 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 very much looking like they want to reset hard and get in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So I genuinely believe that they are basically waiting for Pop to be like, all right, I'm out, so they can pull the plug and hard reset. Like that is I think a bigger issue at hand. That's I think what the Spurs are kind of looking at, because otherwise it's kind of weird what they've done. As far as Zach himself goes, he's got himself a great agent. 3 years. I would love to see the contract language. Love to see the contract language, because I have no idea how well that looks. Because 3 years for Zach, who has played 11 games in 2 years, had 3 ankle surgeries and a shoulder surgery, and he's 7 foot tall. That's a lot, man. Lot. That's just. I wonder how many different adjustments are in the language, because that's hard to really wrap my head around, to be honest. I would have done probably 2, 3's. Yikes. Derek Roberts, no moves in draft and free agency. False optimism of Blazer fans running out now. Yeah, there's the Austin Rivers one. Yeah. Yep. Y'all thought I was kidding when I said Tony Snell. And God, I am butchering Zeller's name right now, for the love of God. Tony Snell and Cody Zeller. So it's whatever. It's kind of how it goes. Another 1-year deal for another player, another reset. They still need to figure out what the hell they're doing at small forward. They still have their TPMLE. I'm trying to think of anybody else out there still who's got space and who's left. That's the question, because there's going to be a couple buyouts here or there probably. Hard to figure out. Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at that and dive a little bit further into what exactly is going to be available. Not adding big bodies in the front court's recipe for disaster against a team like the Lakers or Clippers. That positionless basketball is not suited to that team. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, the Blazers don't have like the weapons to compete with those guys, anyways. So I don't think it's necessarily is back to that. Covington can't play the three, guys. Like, you can't. I mean, he can, but you're wasting the one good thing that he's good at, or not the one good thing, the one thing he's great at, as I should say. I like Cov, but he's a fantastic help defender. You put him in straight coverage, and it's not going to work. I have so many notifications. Okay. There we go. So, yeah, I just got confirmation that it was Vetman all the way through. So, sorry. Yeah, it's crazy. Sorry, I'm getting momentarily distracted. Could we get Langston Galloway or Etuan Moore? I profiled, I think, both of them, and I ended up not including either one of them. I had a guard video, but I was like, I'll just do point guard, bigs, and wings. That's just been sitting there, and I think those guys are good, like 10, 11, 12 guys. The problem is the Blazers are probably looking to bump these guys up to, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just, With Zeller being the backup, who's the third big for you? Dedmon? I could see Dedmon. I had him on the list. I would be surprised if they didn't try to find somebody who could space the floor a little bit, because they're definitely trying to they're going to have to try to keep somebody on there that can shoot, because, I mean, Nurk, I don't know if that really checks out a ton as far as a shooter. But we'll see. As far as the Norm stuff goes, last I heard, I had Jake Fisher on last night, and he repeated out exactly what I had heard. And then, obviously, we got the Norm eyes emojis today, which coincidentally enough came out like right after the Evan Fournier deal came out. So, just you can draw some lines. Sage, I'm going to miss Blazers Outsiders next season. Hey, well, thank you. I wouldn't say that Joe and I are going anywhere. So, hopefully we'll have some more news in that regard. So, yeah, no, Fenter said it as well. Yeah, we got confirmation on it a few minutes ago. So I appreciate it, guys. Let me try and catch back up here, because there was a lot in here. Not watching the Hornets on League Pass to play defense. No, you're not. Excuse me. Yeah, I see you guys in here trolling. You're all a bunch of monsters. Seems like Olsey respects Bill's basketball behind a ton. Is always so giddy when talking about Chauncey. I wonder if Chauncey could actually tell him no on things. I mean, he'd be the first. He'd be the first that we listen to. Did we get the best Zeller brother? Yes, that I'm pretty sure of, because I don't think Tyler can. I don't think he can play in the NBA anymore. Let's see. Oddly enough, the Hornets create some room in the sign and trade of Graham. So they have 13.5 now. So that might have taken them out of the Norm sweepstakes. Okay, thank you. Or Ty. There's too many ties in the Blazer world. It's kind of funny watching everybody rebound right now. Like, oh, okay, Zeller's with the minimum. Like, but it's still, it's like it doesn't matter. Grand scheme, you're still not solving issues. I think one guy. You love to see it. I think one guy that hasn't been named yet, that kind of could be that 4 or 5, and that could be that TPMLE target, is Paul Millsap, a guy that has been endlessly linked with the Blazers and Neil Olshey. So, take that for what it's worth. Otto Porter Jr. and Paul Millsap both scream. Neil Olshey prospects. Like, that's just kind of how that goes. Zeller setting up setting a potential trade, aka Nurk. Hell no. They can't start Zeller and actually hope to compete. That's no. Not only that, Nurk has been banging that drum hard in Bosnia. He's been overseas working out, and he full on said that I'm not getting moved, and I'm going to have a bigger role. So believe that for what. I always put my headphones back in when I'm doing this, even though I'm not talking straight to anybody. It's very, very awkward. Any word on Melo? Last I heard, the invitation to Carmelo Anthony to the Lakers party had not yet been extended. He is still a free agent. So, do you think DJ will be with us at the end of the season? Not sure. I talked to his camp last week. They obviously picked up the option. I think they're more than open to giving it a shot. I don't know what will come out of that, but do you think Snell is a bad pickup option? Yeah, listen, as far as like a guy like that, if he's your 12th dude, 13th dude, not a problem. How many minutes is he getting, and how important is he to the team? Like, if he's, getting really, really serious minutes, you're in you're I'm trying to phrase this kindly. You're probably in trouble. In that same sense, Mark Fernario, what do you think about Michael Beasley? I may or may not have made a bet that the Blazers will have 1.5 players from the Summer League active on their roster this season. So if that gives you any idea of my expectations for what they're going to do. So I'm just saying. My expectations aren't that high. Millsap is perfect for Portland. He's a guy Portland wanted 4 years ago. Of course he is. It's a joke, but it's a meme, but it's also very, very, very real. Like it is for a reason. Vonleh is a defensive asset. Listen, I'm probably one of the biggest Noah Vonleh dudes that there was. He's not an NBA player, unfortunately. I don't know what or why. He ticked a lot of boxes, man, but I just never really bought into it. No, you definitely made that bet. Yeah, no, I did. I wasn't kidding. I had that with Sprague, and I'll probably make him eat like scalloped potatoes out of it. Tyler Dorsey. See, Eduardo, here's the issue. I don't trust Duck basketball players. Like, never have, never will. I don't. Not my thing. Jeff Teague, Frank Ntilikina, or Avery Bradley for backup point guard from Crime Stop. Listen, I mean, they're all like vet minimum dudes. Like, they're not impactful dudes. Ntilikina, of those three, is probably the most Olshey-like guy out there because he's a redraft candidate. You can sell yourself on, he's young, he might pop, whatever, and then you facepalm 4 years later. The thing here is, I hesitate to say this because it makes me sound like a real a-hole, but Norm not re-signing in Portland would be a abject disaster. Don't get it twisted. But, if he didn't, watching Olshey have to explain that to the fan base, to ownership, to Damian Lillard would be insanity and amazing and awesome and, oh my God, ridiculous. I don't want that in the sense of like I want to see bad things happen to the organization or to Dame or the fan base. Bad professional things to happen to Neil Olshey? Maybe. Just saying. Is there actually a chance we bring back Batum? No, he signed with the Clippers. Yeah, real offers were out there, so I know that. But there you go. If Norm signs back, what are the odds that they trade CJ? I don't believe they're going to trade CJ. I genuinely believe, through and through in my heart of hearts, that Neil Olshey would be more likely to trade Damian Lillard than CJ McCollum. So, take that for what it's worth. We're at 225 viewers right now, by the way. That's between both platforms. 230. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Like, every time I do one of these, it's like 10, 15 more, 10, 15 more. And it's very, very cool. If you haven't already, please just click down, subscribe, do the little thing. The channel's growing. I just waiting for confirmation for a guest tomorrow. So we'll see. Unfortunately, I do have Henry Abbott postponed. So I will say that because I already told everybody that he was coming on. He did have a scheduling conflict. So hopefully I'll look to have him back further on. You just want Neil's job. I do, but I would also probably get a way too overboard and burn it to the ground. That's not a shock by any stretch of the imagination. Let me go ahead. Trying to make sure I didn't miss anything because there's just so much information right now. Interestingly enough, I thought Dinwiddie would sign a little bit quicker. So I think Dinwiddie and Norm might be kind of battling for the same money that's out there. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of them goes first. Stuff going around the league, and Neil's just out here chilling. Well, he's out here chilling not because he necessarily wants to. It's because he has to, because of all of the incredibly poor decisions he's made over a decade. Like, that's this year isn't like the culmination of like one thing. This is a ton of really shitty decisions, all culminating into also Damian Lillard saying, "Hey, bro, I need you to do something." And ta-da! This is what you get. Who's the biggest surprise player Portland might pick up? Them landing Otto Porter Jr. would be a massive surprise because they don't typically get guys that, other teams are coveting. That's kind of how that works. I'm trying to think of who else is still out there. I got Morris twin. That would be a good get. That would be wildly surprising. Trying to think of who else is still available. Like obviously DeMar DeRozan is still technically on the market, so it's like Schroeder and stuff like that, but they don't have anything in that vein of asset to go get something like that. Yeah, I'd say Otto's probably that would be the biggest surprise, to be honest. Can we sign Taj Gibson or Patrick? Here's the thing. Taj, I don't think, is leaving as long as Tibbs is coaching. Taj and D Rose are Tibbs guys through and through. Taj is a good dude, too. Hyken covered him, obviously, with the Bulls, and he has sung his praises. And also, Taj is a USC guy, so, already he's a higher, elevated human being, right? That's what USC guys are. Going to be expensive roster with Norm on the book and no other trades north of 160. Yeah, by my math, if they sign Norm and they don't do anything else and they use what's available to them, not obviously using the BAE, it's about 167. I think I tweeted out last week it was like 170, just doing rough math. I huddled it down a little bit more and got it down to 167. I think is what it ended up being. Casey, thank you. I appreciate that. That's incredibly nice of you. Hunter, given that thought, is there a chance that the doomsday scenario that Olshey someone that doesn't get fired trades them and then tries? Listen, I have joked about this, and I say joked in like gallows humor sense. There are a lot of people that I talk to that believe that Neil holds Dame in higher esteem, or holds CJ in higher esteem than Dame because that's his guy. If they trade Damian Lillard, this is part of the reason why I don't want Neil Olshey as part of the rebuild, is I don't want CJ as part of the rebuild. I want, if Dame is gone, and again, I'm skipping over a lot of steps here because I don't want to sit here and think about Damian Lillard being gone. I'm just like out of sight, out of mind. If Dame is gone, you tear this thing down to the studs. Gone. Gone. burn it to the ground, start from scratch, like full-on salt the earth type stuff. I don't want another like $30 million 30-year-old just getting in the way of something. Like it's like an exponentially bad version of what Carmelo Anthony was to Gary Trent Jr. and Anthony Simons and Nasir Little. Just a dude out there just eating minutes that should have been going to younger guys. Like I just don't want to see that. The CJ for Simmons stuff. Okay, so if you're holding out, there it is. There's Norm. 5-year, $90 million deal. Boop, 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 woo, woo, woo. 5 years. That's a lot more than 3. Woo, woo, woo. There you go. Yep. He's not getting more than 20, Dan. He's not getting more than 20, Dan. Yeah, okay. I guess that's why my phone's going bad shit. Oh, God. I wonder how much they front load that. Yep. This is going to be interesting. Interesting. I genuinely thought and heard that they're going to want the shorter deal to get back out, to get one more. That is a shift. Oh, guys, I'm wondering how the contract structure is going. Not the $20 million thing. I was making fun of myself. I saw the Thaddeus Fouché part of that, and I genuinely thought that said Thaddeus Young on top of it, and I was like, yeah. I'm genuinely wondering like what that's gonna look like. Just a collective unclenching of assholes across Portland. That's one way to put it. And that's the thing. This is the bare minimum. That's the absolute bare minimum. I did not expect 5 years. Everybody said I got under 20 a year. Guys, I know. I'm wondering what the contract looks like structure-wise. No player options for Norm Powell. What? Is there a team option? Huh. Interesting. Da. I am genuinely wondering, please, somebody have better deal than Trent Jr.'s? One of them's 28, the other one's 22, guys. I know Norm is a much more polished product. Don't get it twisted. I'm a big Norm guy, but there is a huge gap between a 22-year-old and a 28-year-old. Who cares what it looks like? Are we talking about the contract? That's not automatic deuces to CJ. That's the thing is, listen, guys, the whole gotta trade CJ now. Sure, they gotta. Will they? Don't necessarily believe that's going to happen. And again, I don't call this a big W. This is the bare minimum. He had to do this. He absolutely, unequivocally had to do this. This is, if they lost Gary for nothing and then didn't retain Norm and you're trying to run this back with that team with no additional assets, no. That 5 years is huge. Nobody has anything on the deal. If you want a celebratory drink, you can go have a Roy Rogers. You'll get the reference because, the Blazers assistant coach is Roy Rogers. No, nothing. Dre, this makes me wonder if Norm has some positive insight into the long-term prospects of this team. That could be. He also could be like, nah, I'm going to get the bag. Like, that's... Elliot Abrams, re-signing a free agent isn't the same as bringing in a good free agent. Yeah, no, this is the bare minimum. That's what this is. This is Joel Perkins. Dame going to be happy with the insanity strategy. From what I've heard, he's not already. So, and that's not exactly like hard, secret knowledge. The moves around the outside are, yeah. Is it fully guaranteed? Oh yeah, it's NBA, baby. All these contracts are fully guaranteed. Yeah, if that deal is front loaded, it actually is probably a little bit better. If it's kind of an Aaron Gordon-esque deal, because if they can put that up higher and put the tax up front, which the ownership is going to sit there and balk at probably, but if you can, then that contract becomes significantly more tradable as he gets older. It turns into a $15, $16 million deal on the back end. Now, somebody has just said that... Oh, okay, never mind. It's not somebody I can trust. Always do that. Yeah, Nampe, I don't believe Norm finishes his deal here. 5 years is a long, long time. Sean, thank you for the subscription. Anybody else I missed? Hey, Nampe, I saw you subscribe too. My bad, dude. Thank you, everybody who's coming through. Everybody's sitting here saying the CJ trade. Like, that's anybody who has followed me for any period of time knows I have wanted to trade CJ for 5 years. I don't think that this deal makes it any more likely. Sure, they have the capacity to, but this also gives Neil a way to be like, we're going to the 3-guard lineup. Remember the ratings, the ratings, the ratings that didn't mean shit against the Denver Nuggets. Like that's where I get lost in this stuff. And I'm just like, yay. Brandon Marshall told me they weren't fully guaranteed. Yeah, never go full Brandon Marshall in the contracts. Would you deal Dame for Kawhi? I'd have to take a look at the medicals, but probably. Don't kill me. Neither Norm nor CJ is coming off the bench, guys. Like that's not happening. So, John Winslow, we've talked CJ alone, but what are your thoughts on a CJ Cove deal? Okay, cool. If you're moving CJ and Cove, what are you getting back? Like now you're taking 2 of your starters out. And I'm not against like improving the roster holistically and getting more talent. I am fully on board with that. But what are you placing in between those points? Because now that the draft is passed and now that free agency is getting further on, like you have to figure additional things out. That's where you're hoping to move like assets. And that's where I would move future assets for Pascal Siakam, and I would move it for Ben Simmons. Those are the two guys, I think. And, well, Ingram too, but he's not available. I do not want to move. Hey, there you go. Run it back, Rip City. Norm Powell. There you go. I like Norm. From all accounts, good dude. So, in that regard, I'm happy to see that. Dame for Randall and 3 firsts. I want nothing to do with the New York Knicks. I think their package is absolute trash on every level. No, thank you. There isn't anybody on that team where I'm like, yeah, no, I can see myself building my team around that guy. And I like Randall, but no, it's just he's not one of those dudes. So CJ and DJJ for Siakam. Listen, I mean, sign me up. I like Siakam. I love him. Guys, CJ for Kawhi is insanity. Jeremy Grant, they're not going to look at for CJ. The timelines just don't make sense, especially with how they've reset. They've got Olenek. They've got Cunningham. They've got Grant. They need some guard help. If they had a younger guard to slot in there, yeah, I could see that. But a 30-year-old guard doesn't do them any good. Baham's Basement Game. What's up, Shiloh? Regardless of 4, Dame, CJ, Norm, Nurk is still a bad playoff team. Yeah, you need to figure out who's going to slot in there, and that's the thing. Like if you could move CJ for Siakam by giving up additional picks or something along those lines, you could talk me into that. I still don't like Siakam as a true 3 because I like him as a forward. You're kind of dealing with some of the point of attack issues. But you can solve some of that, at least, with Dame Norm as opposed to Dame CJ Norm, where you're just dumb small across the board. 5 years. I'm still kind of floored by that. I really want to see the contract language. Norm isn't afraid to get hit taking the ball in. No, he's not. He genuinely puts his head down and crushes dudes when he goes to the rim, and I love it. Corey, you're a Nick Plant. Yeah. That's probably true. Trade Damon's value is super high. I'm not against it if it was absolutely like insane return if you knew he was gone. Derek Roberts, could Bobo help us like a Giannis? Did Bobo go to University of Oregon? If the answer is yes, then no. So, yes, I have to get in my Oregon just hold all being mad is great. CJ for Gordy Hayward. Listen, if Hayward's medical's checked out, that's a better fit in my opinion than CJ. More size, a little bit more playmaking, a little more utility, but beyond that, yeah, I could be talked into that. I know some people have issues with Hayward the player, but CJ and Covington for Siakam and OG. CJ and Covington is barely enough to get OG. Like he's looked at incredibly highly in the NBA. Dylan Brooks for CJ. I wouldn't trade you for Dylan Brooks, Eduardo. Just so we're clear. Do you consider this Dame's last year was a first round exit? Yeah. 100%. I've already gone there, to be honest. If they don't do something that like genuinely changes the dynamic of this team, I believe this is Dame's last year. I haven't had kept that any kind of secret. And hey, Beaver folks, don't get too twisted. I'm anti-Duck, but I'm ambivalent towards the Beavers. That's kind of how I fall. So, I live in Chinatown, 1 block from Ted Stock and Ground Control. Hey, you can still be a Nick Plant. You could absolutely be a Brooklyn transplant. I can see it. Let's see. There's another predictions for Ant and Nas performances next year. Oh, we'll find out. I'm going to talk to both of them here in the next couple weeks. So, figure out what they're working on. I'll ask them kind of off record and background stuff, like what they've discussed with Neil and the coaching staff, of like what their roles are going to be, and we'll get a better idea, and then kind of go from there. Bazemore agreed to a deal with the Lakers. They're just adding like 3-and-D guys everywhere for nothing. You want a ring. You want a ring. You want a ring. Everybody wants a ring. Duel CJ and Jones for Halliburton, Barnes, and Quit. Listen, man, you had me at Halliburton. I love him. Sports Talk with Troy. Can Ben Simmons play the 4 or the 5? If he was in Portland, he'd be playing the 4 or the 5. So, yeah, I'm definitely in on that in that regard. Dumbot, how about CJ for Jaren Jackson? Listen, let me pour myself a drink, dim the lights, and light a cigarette. Oh. Jaren Jackson is one of my favorite young dudes who's not a superstar. I love his game. I love what he could be. Like very, very, what he could be is special. He could just end up being a good player. But what he could be, like the thought of him, is very, very high up there. I have big hopes for Ant next year. I do too. I love Ant. Have you answered how Ben Simmons would work out in Portland? I have over time, but I am very pro Ben Simmons because I think the talent is the best talent out there you could get for CJ. There is some issues with like buy-in, like getting him to be like there's this whole idea of like if he just does this, well, if he had just done that, he would have already probably done it if he'd actually gave a damn about some things. Like those are real issues. There's no doubt about that. If you're going to call Damian Lillard the best leader in sports, that's the thought of like where can he get the most, and not every single drop out of Ben Simmons, but like more. Could you get him to be a role guy? Could you get him to be a legit screener? Could you get him to want to play defense? There we go. So I'm assuming Marks has the contract details because he just tweeted out Portland close to $6 million below the luxury tax after the Powell signing with 9 players under contract. So if there's 6 below, I think that's going to be a front-loaded contract. Trying to do math. I think they announced the tax was going to be 136, so they're at 130 right now. 130. So it's going to be 22 up front. I think that's what it's going to end up being. I think that's what it's going to end up being. Okay. Because that stuff matters as far as like how you're trying to line things up going forward, guys. That's why I actually care about that. Do you think Billups will actually give Brown playing time his rookie year? Summer League, sure. I believe that we're going to get Summer League rosters tomorrow. I know they were trying to work out a couple more names, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Chauncey's first time as a head coach. This is a good time to get out there and get some reps in. We can thank CJ Ellaby for getting Norm to save it from Miguel. Listen, man, if that is what CJ Ellaby ends up like his legacy, cool. Because he's been holding Norm's hand around town. You love to see it. Assuming Moore maintains his insane expectations. Number one, I don't, Jeff. I don't believe that. I believe in 2 weeks that those expectations for the return will drop off pretty heavily. If they do, they're going to bring Ben Simmons back to a team full of dudes that don't like him. So, I mean, if they want to call his bluff, good luck. I like Tobias Harris. I do not like the contract, and I don't think he's what you want for Portland. This is the problem. Like, Portland needs more than anything, like a no doubt 3. You can skin that cat with Ben Simmons because he's such a good defender. Like, you could put him at the point of attack, on guards, on wings, on bigs. Doesn't really matter. You can basically put him in the middle of your offense, and he's just a ball handler. Defensively, he's just a stopper. So it's a little bit more ambiguous. It's not a pretty fit offensively with him and Nurk on the floor, unless Nurk like turns into, a bit more of a shooter. But I can see that a lot easier. Serrano, how do they release and sign Zach Collins in the same day? Zeller's had a more productive career than Collins, as awful as that is. Shout out one of our former producers of the show. Could Portland get the full MLB Norris contract as backloaded? No, they are too high right now. They would have to get way down, and I don't. And they could. That's not true. They could trade CJ for a deal that is significantly less, up to the max allowable amount. Because they haven't used the TPMLE. They could get there still, depending on the contract language. They could get there. It would be a tight needle to thread, but they could get there. Is a DeRozan seat for CJ sign and trade possible? It is. It would hard cap the Blazers, which I don't think is an issue, but also I don't think that dollar-wise that would work with the difference between the two. Depends on how much space the Spurs have. This is like when it gets this far into free agency, if I don't have my spreadsheet going, and I did not do it this year, it is impossible to keep up with. Is Millsap a guy? Yeah, Millsap is a guy, Josh, that I hit on a little bit earlier. I honestly, I'd probably put him at the front of the list for the Trailblazers right now as far as the TPMLE. He's a guy that's been linked with the Blazers for years. I don't think Harris's contract is necessarily worse than CJ's. I just don't like the fit just as much as I don't like CJ's. Because neither one of them really offer them what they need. Harris's contract is a little bit more. But if they didn't have Cove and they found a way to get a 3, it's just not a... I just kind of shrug. I was like, nah, it's whatever. I just don't think it's great. Scale from 1 to 10 fridges so far for the Blazers. Like 1 being awful and 10 being great. What's acceptable? Doing exactly what you're supposed to do. That's what it is. So like a 3? 3.5. You know, I just... Sounds about right. Millsap is finished. I don't think he's finished. I think if he's your third big, you're okay. You're not great. You're okay. CJ just tweeted, "Welcome back to Nora." He's staying. Listen, CJ flat out said, like, I'm staying. Nurk said that they're both staying. Neil has said they're basically staying. So that's what I keep trying to prepare everybody for. I don't believe that they're going to trade CJ. They should. Running a $170 million team without a small forward and playing Norm out of position for 82 games is a disaster. Disaster. I don't see the reasoning for it. Even if Melo doesn't go to the Lakers, is there a chance Melo comes back to the Portland? I hope to God not. I do not. Like, just because you got Cody Zeller to play alongside him does not mean I want to sit there and watch that anymore. Like, a lot of those, Stotts just let them do whatever they want. You think Chauncey Billups is going to come in and tell Melo that he can't post up on the block in his first time coaching after they brought him back? Good luck. Good luck. Good luck, good luck, good luck. Good luck. Just, no. What's the problem with Covington playing the 3? He's not a point of attack defender. The second you take him out of the short corner and take him away from his help ability, he's no longer as valuable. He's just another dude. You don't want him on wings and guards. You want him on big body wings and small bigs. That's what you want him doing. He's an elite help defender. He's one of the 3 best help defenders probably in the NBA. Giannis being number 1, Bam being number 2, then probably Cove. And that's not hyperbole. He's that good. He's a very, very good help defender. Covington showed me nothing that says he's a 3 and D player. Derek, you picked an inopportune time to put that in there. He checks out across the board as one of the best help defenders in the league. Unequivocally. There's a little bit of that to that, Elliot. The best Blazers for season in 10-plus years with Aminu and Harkless starting. All they need is decent, strong forwards to be competitive. So, the best season... Your best season was with Russell Westbrook being possibly the dumbest star in NBA history and deciding, I'm going to tell my coach that I don't give a shit what he thinks. I'm going to take on Damian Lillard head up and play pick and roll coverage like an absolute moron. That was that series in a nutshell. Russell Westbrook putting his ego on display for Damian Lillard to take a flamethrower to it. And just preposterously stupid. Which is part of the reason why they were kind of like, I gotta go. And then you had a young Nuggets team who put up a hell of a fight while being young and not really knowing what the hell they were doing yet. And then that went to Game 7 and a quadruple overtime. And then they got to Golden State and they got smashed. And don't give me the whole, they had a lead, they got smashed. They weren't that great of a team. It was fun. You both things can be true. It was an incredibly fun, stupidly like ridiculous time, and also that team wasn't as good as everybody thought it was. Like the second it happened, I kept kind of like, yeah, well, it just wasn't that good of a team. So, that's the thing is Harkless is a significantly better athlete than Covington. That's the thing. Cov has heavy feet. Like he can't stay in front of dudes. That's not what he does. They were miles away. Guys, I'm telling you, everybody in the league looked at that team and looked at that roster and said the exact same thing. They were never close. Things just kind of went their way. What do you think they're missing to get over the hump? A true number 2. Like they have one top 10, top 12 player in Damian Lillard. Depends on how you view some guys after this playoff run. The next best guy on their team is a top 40, maybe. Not even. CJ's probably one. I did this the other day. I think I landed at like 42 once and 44 the second time. Like you need to have bare minimum 2 top 20 guys to win in the NBA. The Heat did it with Jimmy being probably like number 10 and Bam being like 24. And then a bunch of other dudes that were just balling. Harrow had an unbelievable rookie year. Dragic just hitting every three seemingly. Duncan coming out of nowhere. Like that was, I think, that was a significantly better team than even that 2018 Blazers team. That was a good team that caught fire, like much, much higher end. So I think that's where if you squint, you can see something more than that. Feels like we're circling the drink waiting for the full flush. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been hitting at. It's just kind of how it goes. No, the 21 Suns and the 20 Heat had significantly more talent than those Blazers teams, guys. Devin Booker's a top 20 guy. DeAndre Ayton is probably the 5th best center in the NBA right now. Miles Bridges is one of the best 3-and-D guys in the league. Jay Crowder is an absolute playoff stud. Chris Paul is the point god. It's just, I know it's fun to romanticize those Blazers teams, but talent-wise, player for player, it's not close. It's not, guys. It really isn't. Listen, I'm not going to tell you guys how to fan. I'm going to tell you the exact same things that I hear from the players, from management, from executives, from scouts, from guys in the league. Nobody believes that this Blazers team has anywhere near the horses to be a team that actually matters. Fun, regular season, yeah, absolutely. But beyond that, no. Dedmon went back. Oh, there you go. There's one less big on there. Who's the top 20 players the Blazers could get for realistic for CJ? Right now, none. For 4 years ago, you could have had somebody. They should have kept Harkless? No, they shouldn't have. They should not have kept the guy that gave a damn about basketball for 35 games each year. That man checked out more often. He just, when he cared, solid player. But beyond that, there's a reason why he bounced around for a while and was basically out of the league for a couple months. Didn't give a damn about basketball. Like it was evident on the floor. he's the epitome of a guy who could be probably better than he is, but just happens to be really big, really athletic, put in the work, and was able to turn that into a lucrative career. But not exactly like what he probably could or should have been, which is honestly a lot of dudes in the NBA. So, I'm going to hit a few more questions. I'm going to get out of here because I've been sitting in this chair forever, and I got to go get some dinner. I was hoping we'd get a little bit more breaking news, but I think the Norman Powell one's a good enough one. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you. For everybody who asked about the podcast, the Jack Ramsey's podcast, number one, thank you all so much for downloading today. It went incredibly well, especially considering the feed isn't working still. I am working to resolve that stuff with Apple and with Spotify. It was supposed to be taken care of going into this, but I should have links for that stuff shortly. We'll wrap it up here. Hit 250 people here active. Dude, appreciate you guys more than you know. Sean, Khaled, Ben, anybody else that I missed tonight on the subs. Thank you guys so very much. Seriously, every time I do one of these, it's awesome. I will be back on Thursday. I probably will have Sprague. If not, I will have somebody else probably sitting in. I do have an interview pending tomorrow. If I get it done today, or if I get it done tomorrow, I'll probably post it tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. And we'll see where that one goes. And I'll have that up here on the channel and on Blazers Edge. So until then, guys, I will catch y'all later. Y'all have a good night. And if you got questions about free agency period, at Danny Meringue on Twitter, at dmeringue on Instagram, at danpmeringue@gmail.com. You can hit any of those up, and I'll get as many questions as I can.